and you recognize this music, then you probably like Front 242. All right, now I wanted to share a little bit about this band because about 30 years ago, 1993, that's kind of when I was having my little revelation with, you know, maybe I've been going into visionary state. Maybe I need to get into the music business. Well, we went to see this band in December of '93. So we were listening to these guys since, I don't know, 85 or 86. My dad was going to the record store and he's buying up all the Cabaret Voltaire as fast as it comes in, right? And the guy there said, hey, you listen to Cab Voltaire? You might want to listen to Front 242. So we were living in the Florida Keys. And so we were kind of behind on the time. So we finally caught on to the stuff that was coming out on wax tracks little by little. We actually didn't even discover Skinny Puppy till like 1989, you know, but it seems like towards the end of the 80s we were finding all that, my dad was finding all that wax tracks music. That's all I got. I kind of don't like those new covers either. I wish I had the original ones, but I think I might have some tapes. So I'm using this album on the computer to share. Now the thing that's missing out of here is Front by Front. We used to listen to Front by Front all the time. I was wondering if I had, I only have like a little bit of Front 242 in there, that catalog, and a single. So yeah, I've had to take a lot of losses. I probably had more tapes, but all my tapes quit working. Now, I picked this track because this is one of the first things I remembered by them. And, you know, nowadays I've been listening to a lot of trance techno. I kind of feel like the music I was listening to my dad was the music that was getting me in the direction of techno music. So I've always liked hey, they put a commercial in the middle of this song. I think that's kind of messed up. So I don't normally listen to music like this. But I'm just doing this to like share. Come on. Oh, I forgot. I don't have a touch screen on this. Anyways, back to my story about Front 242. No, I just think a lot of the stuff I was listening to like helped get me to listen to techno music. And the funny thing about that is I don't meet a lot of people like nowadays. They're like goth industrial or whatever. They usually are like techno haters, right? Especially the trance. But you know, there's a lot of bad techno. I think, you know, I just listen to the best kind, you know, no matter where it comes from. So guys, share this a little bit. This is one of those songs that I just, you know, I'm talking about getting ready for end times, maybe going into that final battle. This song is called Special Forces. I just feel like this is like good dance music for the soldiers out there, right? This is how they're getting ready for war, right? This is what kills me about these guys. You guys, stay in the rhythm. Anywho, I want to share about the time I got to go see Front 242. And I don't want the music to drown me out so much, but I want to talk about the time I got to go see Front 242 back in 1993. So, yeah, and the funny thing is right before we made that trip, I was in history class reading, and I don't know if it's my mistake, but I thought I read about something, you know, where there was a treaty called Resolution 242. So I don't know if that's any indication of where they get their name, but it would have been maybe a treaty between Palestine and Israel or something. So good question for those of us. Now, I've been talking about Frontline Assembly quite a bit, so I kind of wanted to share about this band sort of in contrast. They're very similar, and some people almost want to accuse Bill Leeb of being a copycat, and I don't think it's fair to say that he's copying anybody. I think that Bill Leeb is so original, like, you know, he might be similar to this guy or that guy. He might even show some of his influences, and he might even sample the shit out of some artists, but I feel like Bill Leeb is very original, so it's not fair to say that he's a copycat, but that he just might simply be somewhat like-minded. You know, it's a heavy electronic industrial playing style. It's got the the gruff sounding vocals, this type of thing, and it sort of has that sort of military-esque theme to it. That's my little joke, has been that this is military industrial techno music, right? You know, like the military industrial complex, but we all hate that, so you know I'm just joking, right? Just kidding. Military industrial techno, I don't know. I feel like so a lot of people don't understand this music community is really more of an anti-war music community. So it's kind of a mixed message. If you didn't know any better, you'd think, well, I'm an anti-war and an anti-violence person, but at the same time, I've got a black belt in 2 systems of martial arts. I'm learning to fight with swords and willing to learn more about firearms, so I'm willing to stand up and fight. So that's the kind of peaceful person I am. I'll be nice and peaceful, but anyways, we went to see Front 242, and I got to meet them. So it was probably the first time where I could go see a band. So this was Miami Beach. We're living in the Florida Keys, drove up to Miami Beach, and I got to meet Jean-Luc Demeyer. The singer was hanging out and like up on the upper level, just watching everybody walk in and stuff, and I seen him there, and I went over to chat with him a little bit, and I mentioned to him that I was in martial arts at the time. I was going to Taekwondo. I'd got my black belt there, and I've been helping to teach a class, and I'd also mentioned to him that I've been thinking about getting into music, and I mentioned some of my favorite bands are Kraftwerk and Cabaret Voltaire, and he's like, uh-huh. And I think I was asking him if he likes this stuff, and he goes, oh yeah, like, he likes those bands. Like, then I asked him, do you guys like Frontline Assembly? Do you guys like Skinny Puppy? He goes, oh, no connection. So I think what he was asking, I was asking is maybe if these are his influences. So like, yeah, like Kraftwerk, Cabaret Voltaire, maybe, yeah. But not those guys. He probably knew who they were, but they're not his influences. Anyways, so, you know, I kind of shared a little bit that I'm a martial artist. This is the music I like, and I'm thinking about getting into the music business, you know. So anyways, I mean, Jean-Luc was such a sweetie. You know what he did is, so he's on stage, you know. Of course, I got up to the front and edge. This is what he was doing, dude. Another commercial.
Liberty Mutual.
Oh my god, we have to hear the whole thing. Exactly. There's like no skip button. Okay. Anyways, hi, another one. This is so not cool, dude. I'm sorry I picked the one with the commercials.
I thought it was just a
You know what? Then you can listen to me bitch about it. That's 3 commercials in one song. Anyways, Jean-Luc was on stage and he was doing like the karate dance or something, you know, just he was throwing little karate things in there and shit. And I just thought that was like he was telling me, yeah, go for it, karate girl, and like, yeah, you know. So I wanted to go back and kind of say thanks, you know, for trying to be nice to me and stuff, and for kind of giving me that message, you know what I mean? Like, and then so I went back there and I was standing around waiting for Jean-Luc, because I let somebody know I was looking for him. And I was standing there watching the roadies load out and everything, and then Daniel Bressanitti came up and just came right shoulder to shoulder with me. And he goes, hey, maybe you can help. And I didn't know what he meant, but I thought about it after the fact. I thought, you know, maybe what he meant is he'd like to see someone like me. You know, he just wanted to come over and give me a little nudge. I felt like those guys were like, you know, I'm just telling them like, hey, this is, you know, I've been doing martial arts and I want to do electronic music. And anyways, I did have a couple of cool dreams about them later too. I'll share that in a moment. Anyways, I went to see, I was in art class in high school. I was going to Mr. Van Balen's class, and I told him about meeting Jean-Luc and how, like, he was friendly to me, and, you know, I couldn't stop staring at his hair. He's got short, fuzzy hair. And I don't know, I have a thing about fuzzy hair. And I said, and I had my head, like, partly shaved, so I also had some fuzzy hair. I said, hey, want to trade a fuzz touch? And he goes, what's that? And I said, well, that's when I touch your fuzz and then you touch my fuzz. And he goes, okay, sure. And so, you know how, like, on that, again, that Saturday Night Live, you know, the guy that's like, I'm interested in different textures. I'm like, I would like to touch your widow's peak. Would that be okay? So anyways, he complied. He actually reached over and touched my fuzzy hair, and I said, thanks, you know, because that used to be my little, I don't know, I just like childish humor, like, hey, want to trade a fuzz touch? You know, like, I don't know. So I mean, that's kind of a silly, and you know. So anyways, I want to stop this music because I just wanted to share that one song. And I don't really want to deal with any more commercials. Anyways, about Jean-Luc Demeyer and telling my art teacher. Okay, so this is important, just because you know, I think I had a pleasant visit, and these guys were, you know, kind of encouraging when I told them my situation and all that stuff. But anyways, when I explained it to my art teacher, he said, "You know, Jody, that sounds like a very confident man." And then he told me about some other experiences he's had, like he had seen Meatloaf, you know, lose his temper because he comes walking into a bar and picks up a microphone like, "Hey, everybody, you know who I am?" And he really got his feelings hurt because nobody gave a fuck and stuff like that. But, you know, I just appreciate that because I feel like that matters for later, you know, that Jean-Luc had a very good sense of self-confidence is what my art teacher told me, you know, after I explained it. Anyways, I had a really cool dream about him, I think, after we met, you know, and it was like, it's like we were having a hurricane down in Key West, and so my dad was driving a convertible. Like, he hates those things. That's sort of like, you know, cheesy to him. So like, he'd never have a convertible, but me and Jean-Luc were riding on the back with our feet hanging down in the back seat, and it was like kind of dangerous, you know, because we were just like up on the car riding out in the open, and we're going over the longer bridge, you know, on the way into town. And it was like the wind was blowing and there was like tidal waves, and what Jean-Luc was doing was just sitting there just like real nice and peaceful, and he was showing me a type of serenity. Like, even though like big waves and everything, even though it's like chaos, he was showing me serenity. And the next really cool dream I had is it almost seemed like astral travel. You know, I felt like I walked over to the edge of Big Coppic Key and walked through the mangroves, and then I walked across the ocean. The ocean was like glowing in the dark or something. So it was almost like I must have went in astral travel all the way across the ocean to Europe where he lived, and then I went up on about the second story of an apartment building and walked in, and that's where Daniel Bruscinetti lived. And I came in and I sat down, and I can't remember anything. I just felt like he was willing to teach me everything. Like, he answered all my questions. So it was like a cool artist dream, you know. So I was thinking, I'd like to do a separate video to share, like kind of more when I was a teenager. I had some really cool artist dreams. And then, anyways, I just wanted to like stick to Front 242 on this because it's kind of a contrast, because I've been talking about this other artist and Frontline Assembly and how I felt like there was like a deep-rooted connection. I had to meet this guy and stuff. But like with Front 242, I think we listen to them a lot. We think, my dad and I, these are definitely, this is a good band, you know. These guys really didn't fuck up a whole lot, you know. Like a lot of bands, you know, they like start out really good and then they start to lose their momentum some way or another. These guys stayed pretty strong. And I think when, similar to Kraftwerk, I feel like Kraftwerk, like if they had music, they would make music. And if they didn't have music, then they didn't try, you know. So that's what happens. I think a lot of artists, they keep trying to make albums whether they have the music for it or not. And so that's where you get a lot of stuff that, you know, maybe if you're like a good fan, you might not like that album as much. You could tell the artist just didn't have the music that time, you know. So they didn't really do that so much. And so good solid band. I don't feel a really deep connection to them, but it was just somebody that I'm always going to remember in a good way, you know, like 30 years ago when I was thinking about getting into the music business. And I got to meet Front 242. They were nice to me. They encouraged me. And then I had a couple of meaningful dreams after that I felt like they were showing me. I feel like that's kind of the understanding, is I feel like, you know, it sounds like one of the songs on there, for example, Kampfbereit, however you say that in German, it means battle ready. It's almost like we have to be ready in spirit, you know, like no matter what's going to happen to us. I mean, it might be peaceful now, but you know, I don't want to see a war, but like if say we're going to World War III, we better be battle ready, right? So I feel like there's a number of bands that seem to be kind of in this vibe, you know, that are part of the post-industrial electronic scene, you know, that I kind of feel like I see that in Frontline Assembly. Of course, I feel like maybe, you know, these people feel like, in some places it's already happening, some people are already experiencing war, but it could be coming soon to a town near you kind of mentality, is to always be open-minded to the worst possibilities, right? So that's why I'm a martial artist, you know. For example, like, you know, I just want to make friends and play with everybody, but I found out that you actually really need to learn to fight on some level. So anyways, I think Front 242 were a really great band. And I listen to them from time to time. Now, that's something me and my dad used to listen to all the time. And I wanted to point out, I think around that time, I was training, it's like a Kempo Wushu system with a guy who was also a musician, but he was more like folk rock and that type of thing. And he was kind of helping me kind of learn to like find that parallel in music and martial arts in some way or another. And that's where, like, say, Jean-Luc was doing the karate dance. Well, that's kind of what I've been doing for some time. Is like, I think I made some other videos where I like to put on the music and go, you know, do some, you know, shadow boxing, this type of thing. And that makes a great workout, by the way, and I feel like it's really helped improve my kung fu quite a bit. So, not sure if Jean-Luc actually gave me that idea, but it seems to tie in with sort of, I've always just been kind of straddling one foot in martial arts and been thinking about doing music. I've been playing my keyboard a little bit and keeping it in mind. So anyways, just to add a little contrast, there's a lot of bands I thought were really important, but you know, like, I'm glad I got to meet them, but if I never see them again, I feel like I really lucked out that time and it was good enough. But I think they've retired, so I don't know. I'm amazed some of these people have stayed around for so long, but I keep hearing different bands are going to do their last tour, they're going to retire. Some of them have actually died that we've listened to a lot. Like, I couldn't believe, well, Genesis Priori, she didn't make it past 70, and he had died of cancer. And I noticed a lot of rock stars, they get to be about 69, 70, 71, and that's about where we lose them. So kind of like people say, like, if you live past 33, you're definitely not Jesus. Well, if you live past 70, maybe you weren't a rock star either. But so you know, a lot of these guys are getting up there, and so I really hope Jean-Luc and all those guys, they look pretty healthy. Those guys might live past 70. I don't think they're like your standard rock stars, you know. They're kind of probably a bunch of health nuts by the looks of them. Anyways, that's my thoughts on Front 242. I really love those guys. So anyways, I'm going to share another video very soon and explain a little bit about, just as I shared those artists. I think I have a bunch more. I feel like I have a good handful that are worth sharing. So I'll talk to you soon.